Okay, cut off. This we've been doing the live chats now for over a year. We started, I think, in October of last year. We had not had, and we probably have no over 400 hours of live chats recorded now. And we've only been cut off, completely cut off, twice, and it's happened in the last week. So it's really odd that within a week of each other, um, we get completely cut off. I mean, the phone just went dead. Doesn't happen, never happened, except for when we're doing the live chats. Happened twice. So they're definitely screwing with us here. Like Q says, there's no coincidences. Danielle, how you doing? Yeah, definitely they are giving us a hard time. Okay, so back to the Democrats. They're losing support by the thousands every single day. It's to the point where they may not, they may lose enough Democrats where they don't even get it through the House. It would be devastating. It would be, it couldn't be a worse case scenario for the Democrats if they've got a huge margin in the House. I think it's like, I want to say it's like around around 200 to 235, I think, is what it is. So they got about a 30 vote advantage in the House. Well, they could lose that. This would be devastating to the Democrats. It would be the most devastating thing until the pedophilia gets exposed that could happen to them. So, keep your fingers crossed, because I think what's happening now is Pelosi's starting to see that she's screwed. Well, in more ways than one. And I think the problem is, if you noticed, what seemed a little bit odd was they seemed to be in a big rush, right, to get this thing going, especially to get it announced. Like, she had to announce that she was asking them to draw up the impeachment paperwork. Why didn't she just have them draw it up instead of having a press conference? I think it's because they're using this. They are down to the wire. They don't have many options left to ward off what they know is coming, which is the draining of the swamp. And I don't know how this is going to play out. It's going to be interesting to see. But it becomes more difficult to pull the trigger on the swamp draining if they're in the middle of the impeachment process, because naturally the mainstream media is going to scream that, and of course Pelosi and Schiff are going to scream that President Trump is just attacking his political enemies, that there's really no basis for their arrest except for political motives, which we all know is a line of crap. My feeling is you can't let these people control and dictate the narrative. Eventually, you're going to have to take a stand and fight it out. And I think we can already see by the way that the polls are shifting now. And, the good thing about this is the longer it goes on, the more support they lose. So, the president might let this play out for a while. He can't let him drag it out for months, though. And I don't see this going to Christmas. They don't have any evidence. I mean, what are they going to do? Right? I mean, really what they should do is whatever. I think they're talking about the 9th. Vote on the 9th and send it to the Senate. It's not like you've already had your hearings. You already know what you're going to do. It's just going to depend on how much time they want to burn up. So we'll see how it plays out. I hope the screen is good now. On my end, everything's fine now, guys. So hopefully we're good to the end. But anyway, listen. They're showing how weak they are right now. There's absolutely nothing they can do that's going to change the course here. All they can do is, maybe delay a little bit, and we'll see how far that goes. But almost the delaying isn't a bad thing because, again, every day people are leaving in droves because they're so fed up and there's zero evidence. That's the problem these Democrats have. Trust me, if they had a shred of evidence, every Democrat would vote for this. They'd have to. But they got nothing. It's honestly, I think if the president wanted to challenge this with the Supreme Court, they'd never allow it to go forward because they have nothing. You can't just impeach a president because you're pissed because he won or because you don't like him or because you're hysterical. That's not a reason because you don't like the guy, you don't like his policies or the way he runs the office. Remember, there's a great line that we need to throw back in the Democrats' face because there was an instance when Obama was president and he was running wild. I mean, you could tell. I mean, I knew by the things that were happening, this guy was committing treason right and left. And of course, there was a little bit of an uproar. His comment, there are consequences to elections. In other words, when you lose the election, you don't get to make the rules. He was running the show. And that's how it works when you're president. Now they want to change the rules and they don't want to give President Trump the same leeway they gave Obama. Now, the reason they gave Obama that leeway was because they were all in on it. He should have been called on it because he was actually committing criminal acts. And I made a post today. It's easy to be a criminal when you've got the FBI and the DOJ in your back pocket. When they're not going to investigate anything. You can do whatever you want. That's what they were doing. They were doing whatever they wanted. It was blatant. Gary's saying, I think she's saying Pelosi's drunk. Look up Kuru disease. Kuru disease. I think it's Kuru. I don't think she's drunk. I think she's got Kuru disease. Kuru disease, I think it's out of the Solomon Islands, where cannibalism was big. And we know what these people do with the kids, right? They're basically cannibals. It's from eating infected brain tissue. That's how you get Kuru disease. By eating tainted, infected human brain tissue. That's how you get Kuru disease. They say Hillary Clinton's got it, and they say Pelosi probably has it too. It's that action, where they're bobble-headed and laughing uncontrollably and nonsensical like they're drunk. Look it up. Kuru disease. That's my bet. I think she's an alcoholic too, but doesn't help. And you'd think, most politicians know. A lot of politicians are alcoholics, but they know better. They don't get hammered before they're going to have a press conference, So that's what makes me think that it's not the alcohol, because I think she'd be managing that better, or her staff would be managing it better. Anyway, October. So this is October now. Credit card usage surges to an all-time high for consumers in America. In October. What's going to happen this month? This economy is toast, guys. It's world record debt. This can't go on. We're at the end here. The balance sheet for the Fed, it's like $4 trillion now. They said they were going to reduce the balance sheet. So basically that's what the assets that the Fed buys to kind of keep the economy floating. That was supposed to be going down. They were supposed to be cutting their balance sheet. With what's going on now with the repo programs, not going to happen. It's like it's $4 trillion and climbing. It's either going to be a bank going down, or it's going to be the hyperinflation caused by this just throwing money at this issue. One of those things. That's what's going to bring it down. The other possibility is, is President Trump declaring a reset. And again, I've said for months now, that's probably the best way for this thing to go down. Is President Trump comes out one morning, makes an announcement, the economy is ready to go, we're overwhelmed with debt, we're going to wipe the slate clean. We're going to declare martial law for a while just to keep things lined out. That would be the best way to go, because it's going to be put the least amount of stress on the sheep. Because just imagine it going down one of two ways. Either there's no announcements, you're driving to work Monday morning, you stop to get gas, and your ATM doesn't work, and your credit cards don't work, and you call your bank and you can't access your funds. And you find out that credit is frozen and everything shuts down. And there's no announcement right away. That's a sure recipe for a panic in the streets. It makes a lot more sense for the president to come out calmly and say, here's where we're at. This economy is done. This is what we need to do to fix it, to get back on track. Here's the plan. Here's what's going to happen. To me, head and shoulders the difference, because it's the not knowing which is going to cause the most panic. Hopefully there will not be there will only be a part 3 if we get cut off. Anyway. So yes, that communication from President Trump is going to be, it's going to be critical for keeping the fear and the panic in control. Because that's what we don't want to happen, is the people just go batshit crazy with fear. It's not going to end well if we go down that path. We want to do this calmly. There's no reason for panic. There's no reason for fear. Even if it happens out of the clear blue, then it really falls back on us to calm the sheep. That's got to be one of our jobs. If it happens out of the clear blue, remember what they said. Remember what they said on the last one. What was going to happen? They basically made an announcement that it was after they approved the bailout. And they came out and they said, well, it's a good thing because if this wouldn't have happened, we were going to have to declare martial law tomorrow morning. And then what would have happened? Right? That's how quickly these things can go. And up to that point, everything, it caught most people, me included, completely off guard when this happened in whatever, 08, I guess. So for us, for our purposes, we've got to understand that no matter how it plays out, we know what's coming. We may not know the exact time, the exact maneuver, but we know the economy's going to collapse. We know paper assets are going to zero. We know how to protect ourselves from that. And we have a game plan to get through this. Whereas opposed to most people, if they find out 10 minutes after it has already happened, then you can understand why most people who had no clue anything was wrong, and all of a sudden, banks are closed, power might be out, communications might be down. Just imagine how people's imaginations are going to run wild. Won't be good. So, and the other thing, and the thing that we have to really focus on, the most important factor, I believe, for a country to get through this is the leadership. We're blessed with President Trump because he's one of the few world leaders out there that is 100% committed to the people and not the globalist agenda. The countries that have globalist leaders, which most of the rest of the world, there are a handful of guys who have rejected globalism, including Putin. And that's why they're so worried about President Trump and Putin hooking up. They understand what's going on behind the scene and what these criminals have been doing. I think Russia will probably get through this fairly well. The EU doesn't look good. I mean, it's globalist run. UK's got it a little bit better now. Maybe with Boris Johnson, we'll see. He's better than what they had. I think his true colors will come out in the next 6 months. We're going to find out really who this guy is. But the rest of the world, it's going to be dicey. And it's, again, the better prepared they are, and we know, I think President Trump's going to be better prepared than any of them, the easier it's going to go on us. And factoring in the more people that are prepared in whatever country, the better that country's going to survive this also. So we're doing all the right things here, guys. We just have to keep pushing it. Can't stop now. Yeah, Canada has the worst job reports since the financial collapse 10 years ago. It's around the world, guys. Um, oh, and our job numbers, they're so fake today. You can't trust anything that happens. And here's the problem: when you look at job numbers, you almost get a bonus on job numbers when your economy is tanking, because what happens is that guy making 80,000 a year who loses his job now has to get 2 or 3 jobs to make up the difference, and he might work 3 jobs and only make 70,000. Well, now, as far as the government's concerned, it looks better because they got 3 jobs and they only lost one. So it was a 2 gain, and a guy's in a worse situation. So the job numbers can be really misleading, guys. Don't write too much into, that it was more than they expected, because really the number of jobs is irrelevant. What's the pay? What are we getting paid? That's the real issue. I mean, jobs, if they're minimum wage jobs and you came from a good one, it's not, and that's the problem is for survival. That's what people are having to do right now. There's families where the husband and wife are both working 2 or 3 jobs. How do you raise a family like that? And you wonder why the kids are going sideways, because we got the liberal schools basically raising the kids is what's going on. There's a lot of things that need to be changed that are coming, guys. The school system I've already talked about. We are eventually going to go to a 100% online educational system. No more teachers, no more buildings. Just think what that's going to do to the budgets around the country. We look at all of that being eliminated. What are we paying teacher salaries today? And look at the education they've been giving our kids. They are going to get what they deserve. They don't deserve to be teaching our kids. The curriculum's going to change. The whole system's going to change. And we're going to go from a declining educational system to a shining educational system. It's time to start thinking outside the box. Time to start thinking about what's the best way to do these things instead of thinking about how do I take care of my cronies. And that's how most of these government agencies got started. A way to add jobs, which they think of as adding votes. And that's how people vote. You see it. Look what happened with the problems we have right now. All of the infiltrators from the last 3 really administrations almost destroyed our country. Okay, let's what else I got here? I can't believe how many financial channels are calling the end of the economy. I've never seen. It's, you'd always have 1 or 2 people, me included, who thought it was coming. It's 50% of them. Never seen anything like it. There's kind of a consensus growing here that there's not much time left for the worldwide economy. There's too many problems around the world, and there's 50 triggers that could bring this whole thing down. Yeah, of course they've gotta keep beating that drum of everything's great. To keep, because as soon as consumer confidence is lost, that's when this thing tanks. And it's any day. Yeah, the Fed's balance sheet has gone up $1 trillion since September. You can't keep adding money like that and think it's going to last very long. Okay, let's see what we got for questions here. Yeah, I made it back. Yeah, there's going to be some big changes. In fact, reminds me, if Chad, if you see this, I don't see you on now, but we really got to get on top of this this download situation for the website because we've got a backup with I think Skype. If something goes down with YouTube and Facebook, because we do have a YouTube channel, but we've had trouble keeping it uploaded, and that's what Chad's working on. So Chad, get a hold of me because we really got to get on top of that if you see this, because we have to have a backup here. Because next week they're supposed to really start cracking down. Danielle's asking if Pelosi's a clone. I don't think so, just based on her, um, on the problems. You know, I would think that if it was going to be a clone, it would be a little bit better conditioned clone. She's got too many problems. I think that is really her, actually. Well, that's weird. Elizabeth can hear both videos playing at the same time. The first one and this one. Nah, I haven't heard that one before. Yeah. So here's the thing, guys. 2020. Kathleen's saying Dems are going to lose the House. They're going to. It's not just these 30 or 40 seats that are kind of on the fence for the Democrats. Guys, think about this. How many Democrats are going to vote Democrat when they see the videos that are going to be coming out before the election of these animals torturing and murdering children? How many people are going to vote Democrat? Listen, they're going to get crushed. This is the end of the Democratic Party, guys. When I hear people talking about, oh God, they're worried about this, they're worried about that, there's nothing to worry about with the 2020 election. They will be crushed. It's not even going to be close. When I'm talking about, Pelosi's strategy, that's just what they think. That's what those Democrats are worried about. They're worried about those 35 or 40 seats. What they don't understand is, it doesn't make any difference, you idiots. There's nothing you can do to keep from being destroyed when this pedophilia is exposed. Think about it. Like that. The people, and more people are going on the fence, right? That were diehard Democrats, lifelong Democrats, generations long Democrats are leaving the party. What do you think happens when they find out about the pedophilia? There's no recovering from this. None. The CIA's already run the numbers on this stuff, guys. The freaks in the world that actually go along with this crap, they figure 3 to 5% of the world population. They're going to have 3 to 5%. Try that against President Trump. They're going to get crushed. It's a non-issue. Don't waste your time with it. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep waking people up. Keep pushing those red pills. Yeah, this whole movement, this whole socialist, Sharia law, Constitution opposing movement is dead when the swamp gets drained and the pedophilia gets exposed. It's dead. And there will be people, Democrats, screaming to execute every last one of them. Just imagine if you came from a family that has lost one of these 800,000 kids a year that go missing in America. How are you going to feel? Bush was right. Several years ago, Bush 41, old man Bush, said if they ever find out what we've been doing, they will hunt us down and hang us from the light poles. Very prophetic. Because if they get caught after this is exposed, they will get hung. Yeah, New Guinea, that's it. Christine's got it. It's New Guinea. Where Kuru comes from, and it's, again, brain tissue that's infected. Oh, God. Silence of the Lambs. This is... What these people are doing makes Silence of the Lambs PG. Silence of the Lambs, that movie is PG compared to this video. Thousands of hours of this video. Hundreds of criminals, monsters. It's not going to go well for them. Laughing sickness, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You know, the other thing you got to remember, Gary, now, if it comes down, if you're a handler of Pelosi, and it comes down to Kuru disease or alcoholism, what do you think they're going to say it is? Naturally, they want it to be alcoholism. They don't want any mention of Kuru disease. So it is what it is. It really doesn't make any difference. She's done. Cheryl's asking, so a reset would be wiping the, well, there's a couple of resets. There can be a partial. I don't think that's the way to go. I think if we go a partial reset, we're going to fumble around for a while and then eventually declare a full reset because there's no way to fix this. Hopefully that's what would happen. That declare a reset, wipe the slate clean. Nobody owes anybody anything. Anything you hold in your hands, you own. And remember, you've got to factor in, people say, well, the banks wouldn't allow it. The banks are going to be stripped of their wealth. Executive Order 122117, the executive order that allows for the government to seize the assets of any person or corporation involved in human trafficking or corruption, which means every bank in the world will have their assets seized. Google, Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, all have their assets seized. So it would be easy to do this combined with the executive order. And the only way to fix this, that's what it's going to take. Whether it comes initially or we fumble around for a while and a year later figure out we got to do it, we're going to have a complete reset. It's the only way to fix it. There's too much. The system has been so bastardized, so corrupted, so manipulated, that you couldn't unravel this thing if you took 20 years. Well, we're having a good conversation on beer tonight, at least. I personally have about one drink a month. Gary, Fireball, Gary, really? Isn't that like syrup? Yeah, Gary, don't hurt yourself. Get out. This, what are they, baby shots? Danielle had 29 shots on her 39th birthday? I think that would kill you. Oh, well, okay. That makes sense. Well, yeah, and here's the thing. These jobs, here's the problem. Kathleen is a good point, Kathleen. The numbers always pick up around the holidays, right? Because people are hiring because they're expecting business to pick up. Well, here's the downside is I know that the reports came out that the sales were okay, but the malls, it was like a bomb went off. Dead zones, empty. Um, it's not what they're saying it is. And I think they're afraid to admit it because they know that too much of this gets out and the panic's going to set in. And President Trump, I think, would rather control this than be blindsided by it, right? Like with a Deutsche Bank collapse or a China default that he's got probably doesn't know is coming and gets blindsided by. Much better to control the situation and control the narrative. Oop. Chad, there you are. Yeah, Chad, we got to get on this. We got to get on this before next week because I think the 10th is the day that Facebook changes their terms. It would be nice to be ready to go with Skype on the 10th if we need it, and also get the website caught up with all the backlog because we've only got probably 5% of the live chats are on the website, and they all should be there. Yeah, a lot of ankle boots going around, guys. Much longer, I don't think, and them keep the lid on it. Well, the problem is some of you said it's gone on for so long, and I think that's the most frustrating thing I hear from people is they're never going to arrest them, because they've seen a lot of them 30 and 40 years of this crap. So I understand that sentiment. I do. But this is different. And if you're doing your own homework instead of listening to CNN, you're going to understand that it's different. And if you understand that it's different, you need to do something about it because big changes are coming. Well, I took criminal justice because I was originally thinking I wanted to be an attorney because I saw all the injustice going on in our criminal justice system. And when I got into college and was working on my master's, I was taking classes with mostly, lieutenants and captains of the bigger police departments around the Bay Area. And the stories they used to tell, I mean, the abuses, I wanted nothing to do with it. It was so rampant. The good old boy, do what you got to do to get a conviction. Planting evidence, carrying backup guns to drop if they had to shoot somebody. I mean, beating suspects and then laughing about it. Yeah, it's not. Our whole system needs to be revamped. Criminal justice, law enforcement. And here's the thing, guys. Because it's all been so corrupted, virtually none of our agencies are running the way they should in a capitalistic, free market. And none of really nothing. It's all been infiltrated. So really, the easiest way to fix stuff like this, scrap it, start over, build it fresh. Okay. Boy, Elizabeth. Yeah, Kuru. Um, that's a tough one when you first hear about Kuru, and you understand why they're getting it. Um, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So everyone, a good point, Kathleen. Everyone should download Skype right now. You can do that right now, and then what we'll do, hopefully in the next week, we're going to maybe do a test run on Skype one night. So in the next day or two, everybody who's on and spread the word, download Skype onto your phone or computer. It's pretty simple, I think. A little bit different than what we're doing now, but it might be the only option we have for a while at least. I think eventually President Trump is on this with the social media companies. It's just a matter of how quickly is it going to happen? Are there changes going to be made? And with the swamp draining pretty quick, I think, I don't expect it to be very long, like into January, before I think things are changing. Yes, I'm moving to Arizona too. Probably Sedona, I think, but uh, Wickenburg's in the mix. Flagstaff is in the mix. Yeah, that's this is Danielle just mentioned something that's going to be a natural evolution. You look at things differently when you go through this process and you get educated on really what's going on, all on everything. I mean, it's obviously the pedophilia is the biggest deal, but there's so much. I mean, I don't even want to watch a Tom Hanks movie anymore because of what I know about that disgusting human being. Him, Spielberg, some of the stuff that's going to come out about these celebrities, newscasters, judges, politicians, government officials, disgusting. The things that they do to these kids. Um, it rocks your world. There's no way around it. Kathleen's asking if I get property in Sedona, Arizona. It you can. You're not going to get a big ranch in Sedona because most of the places there, because property is so expensive, you're lucky if you get 2 or 4 acres. You know, a big place they do. We've been looking. I mean, you can get 10, 15 acres. That's a big piece of land if you're close to Sedona. You get out about 20 or 30 miles, you can get bigger pieces. But yeah, and the reason that we like it is it's kind of in that middle zone. You know, you got, Phoenix is too hot. Hot. Flagstaff, good in the summer, but it's 7,000 feet, so it's cold in the wintertime. And Sedona is kind of right in that middle, so the winters are mild, hardly any snow, I don't think, and the summers are much milder than when you get farther south. You're going from 115 to 120 around Phoenix, and on that same day, it might be 100 degrees in Sedona, 95 or 100. There's a big difference there. That's a 20-degree difference. That's a big 20 degrees. Yeah, Prescott is another place that we want to look. Prescott. Um, what's the other one up there? In the mountains there. It's a nice little town. I'll think of it. Uh, Shoot. Anyway, Payson, I think. Payson. That's all the questions for tonight. Um, Time is short. Do what you got to do. Silver, ammo, food, water. We're days or weeks. Don't get caught short. Um, okay, I'm gonna end it there for tonight, guys. Remember, fear not. God and President Trump are 1,000% in control. We'll see you tomorrow night at 5. God bless.